So the Dallas Cowboys have fired head coach Mike McCarthy, not renewing his contract, and Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore is now a top target in the Cowboys head coaching search. We're going to talk about that coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now, but before we officially do that, you know what I need you to do? Go on down, hit that subscribe button. We're 763 people away from 100,000 subscribers. This has been my goal since the start of Eagles training camp. Yesterday during our watch party, we surpassed 99K. Let's get that silver plaque from YouTube, and let's talk some Eagles right now. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you. And as always, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making this show a part of your day, your morning, your evening, whenever you're watching. The news of this Monday, January 13th, across the NFL, outside of the NFL playoffs, the Dallas Cowboys are moving on from head coach Mike McCarthy. Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, breaking the news just around noon Eastern time that McCarthy is out as Cowboys head coach. The sides couldn't agree on the length of a contract, and now McCarthy will pursue other opportunities. He leaves Dallas with a winning record and 3 playoff appearances. Immediately, there are going to be teams who show a lot of interest in McCarthy. That does include the Chicago Bears with Caleb Williams. They have moved on from Matt Eberflus, and I don't think they're going to retain the interim head coach in Thomas Brown. And then earlier this year, the New Orleans Saints fired Dennis Allen, and I don't think that they are going to retain Darren Rizzi, a special teams coordinator, who is the interim head coach for New Orleans. So interesting stuff on this front, because after the Dak Prescott injury, and the Cowboys were disappointing going into that injury, they struggled a little bit with Dak Prescott out, but then prior to losing against the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 17, McCarthy had won 4 of 5 games with Cooper Rush. Dallas had suffered a lot of injuries across the roster, and I thought he did a good job of working with Rush, who's a very limited quarterback. The defense started to generate turnovers. The offense was actually pretty solid. And to be able to do that work with the backup quarterback, injuries elsewhere, I thought it was a really impressive coaching job. And then the Cowboys get dominated by the Eagles in Week 17. They lose at the buzzer to the Commanders in Week 18, but I thought that Dallas and Jerry Jones was going to retain McCarthy. His contract was set to expire on January 14th. The Cowboys had blocked an interview request from the Chicago Bears, so I thought the writing was on the wall that they were interested in retaining him. But Jerry Jones said, we didn't really have or get anywhere with these contract negotiations, and over the last 8 days since the end of the regular season, I don't know what the hell Jerry Jones was doing. The Cowboys going 7-10 this year after 3 straight 12-win seasons. And of course, the Cowboys, how about them Cowboys? They haven't had any sustained playoff success in about 3 decades. But McCarthy's body of work, not bad here. First year, 6-10, no playoffs, but then a huge leap in year 2, 12-5. They get bounced in the first round of the playoffs by the San Francisco 49ers in 2022, 12-5, 1-1 in the playoffs. They lose again in the playoffs to the 49ers. In 2023, they became the first 2 seed to lose to a 7 seed in playoff history at the hands of the Green Bay Packers. And they get bounced early when they had some Super Bowl aspirations that year. Every year is the Cowboys' year, as we know. And then in 2024, 7-10, Cowboys don't make the playoffs, but they were a botched block punt away from having won 5 games in a row. And if they won that game against Cincinnati and didn't cough that game up against the Bengals, that game against the Eagles in Week 17 would have meant a lot for the Cowboys, and their playoff hopes very well would have been alive. I think that McCarthy is a good coach. I don't think that he is a great coach. It is not a surprise to see, given his track record of success, working with quarterbacks, running a pretty efficient offensive system, winning a Super Bowl with the Packers, his work with backup quarterbacks and overall quarterbacks, that other teams would be interested in him. A powerful presence who knows how to help run an organization and run a football team. So a good job on the offensive side of the football. Not great. I do think, though, that he stinks at game management. And since winning that Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay, hasn't had a lot of playoff success since then. I am interested to see where Dallas goes from here. This is a pretty weak head coaching pool. Mike Vrabel already signed with the New England Patriots. If I'm Ben Johnson, I look at Dak Prescott as a Jared Goff type of player, stylistically, where if I run my offense, get the ball out on time, in rhythm, you don't have to have a cannon for an arm, you run the system. It's not like the Bears' job with Caleb Williams, which goes away from what Ben Johnson wants to do with this system because Caleb Williams has to create out of structure and improvisationally. And so Johnson might look at the Cowboys gig as a pretty good one, but does he want to work with Jerry Jones? Who wants to work with Jerry Jones? His talent evaluation isn't the same. He's a meddling owner. He's all about himself. He loves when the Cowboys are in the news. Some head coaches don't like that type of drama, and they haven't had any deep playoff runs since the mid-1990s. It's been nearly 30 years at this point. The Cowboys' next head coach odds, I think it's hilarious how Deion Sanders right now is the odds-on favorite to replace Mike McCarthy at plus 100. You have Joe Brady at 3-1, Ben Johnson plus 325, Bobby Slowick at plus 1,000, and Brian Flores at plus 1,000. You know who's not on this list? It's Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, who was with the Cowboys for a while under Mike McCarthy. Last year in 2023, went to the Los Angeles Chargers after a little bit of a messy divorce and breakup with Dallas, but now he's being mentioned as a potential head coaching candidate and target for the Cowboys. We're going to talk about that coming up just around the corner. Before we do that, though, today's Eagles Now, sponsored by our friends at Fume. You can check out their wonderful products at tryfume.com/chatsports or scan that QR code, which is on your screen right now. And I'll tell you more about what Fume has to offer. 2025 is here. It's time to kick your bad habits, and Fume is here to help you do just that. Have you heard that the flavored air category is quickly becoming the leading alternative to vaping and smoking? It's a whole new movement towards better habits, led by the sponsor of today's show, Fume, an award-winning flavored air device that draws flavor to your mouth, not your lungs. It's a great way to satisfy your oral fixation with non-toxic flavors, free from nicotine or vapor, and it's safe to use anywhere. Its design is also more than just flavor. It's an awesome fidget tool with magnets and clicks that help you calm anxiety. You'll love how Fume feels. Premium quality, sleek design, and perfect for taking with you on the go. My favorite flavor, crisp mint. It's refreshing, satisfying without any of the harmful effects you'd associate with other habits. Fume has already helped over 300,000 people build better habits, so try Fume today. And if you order the Journey Pack now using my code CHATSPORTS, you'll get a free Fume topper, an awesome accessory to level up your experience. Go to tryfume.com/chatsports. Scan the QR code on the screen. That's tryfume.com/chatsports, or scan the QR code and use that code CHATSPORTS to get your free Fume topper when you use our link and you utilize that QR code to your advantage. We'll put all of that information down below in the show notes and attached to the pinned comment of today's Philadelphia Eagles Now. So we move forward on today's show. And the big question of today's show, could Kellen Moore leave the Eagles? He's done a really good job as offensive coordinator outside of those elementary school-like passing concepts that we saw against the Green Bay Packers, and land that Cowboys head coaching job. Nick Harris, who covers the Cowboys for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, saying this: while this is expected to be an extensive interview process and any placement of a favorite would be wildly premature, this is my early leader for who the Cowboys could land on. Not only was Kellen Moore a backup quarterback for Dallas for 3 seasons, but his experience as quarterbacks coach in 2018 and offensive coordinator / play caller from 2019 through 2022 also serves as a wealth of insight that the front office already has on him. Additionally, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones have remained big fans of Moore even since his departure from the team in 2022. While there would have to be a hatchet buried between Moore and the front office from how his exit from the building went down, it's not viewed as something that would be difficult to overcome. The timeline on how quickly the Cowboys could bring in Moore for an interview and or move on, making him the next head coach, could get complicated, as the Eagles are in the middle of a playoff run that will extend at least one more week into the divisional round. So that Cowboys Moore divorce in 2023, a little bit messy, And even what we just read, they'd have to bury the hatchet a little bit. Maybe it's something they'd be able to overcome. Moore in Dallas did have a lot of success during his 4-year stint as the OC. Moore orchestrated a unit that ranked second in the NFL in total offense, scoring offense, and touchdowns, third in first downs per game, fourth in passing offense, and third in conversion rate. Seventh in rushing offense, 126.6. He helped Dallas to 3 playoff appearances and 2 NFC East championships while mentoring 9 players to a combined 13 Pro Bowl appearances. As we know, Dallas usually sides with an offensive mind. Mike McCarthy, Jason Garrett, Kellen Moore would obviously fit that bill. And so, like the Eagles, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones usually like to identify offensive coaches. Wade Phillips was a defensive guy. That was the last defensive coach that they had. As for what the Eagles offense did this year with the play calling, play designs, Kellen Moore's offense, and with him running the show on the offensive side of the football, Philadelphia finished 7th in points per game at 27.7, 6th in yards per game, 12th in yards per play, 9th on third downs, 14th in the red zone. Saquon Barkley ran for more than 2,000 yards. He's probably going to be the NFL Offensive Player of the Year. And A.J. Brown, a second-team All-Pro. Even though Hurts's passing yards numbers went down, I thought his decision-making was really good. And I thought he made some nice strides from last year, where he struggled at the end of it, to this year. So get those pens out. Grade the job that Kellen Moore has done this season with this Eagles offense. And hopefully we see a more advanced passing attack against the winner of Rams-Vikings in the divisional round. That's going to have to happen because what we saw on Sunday, I don't put it on Hurts. I put it on Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni being very conservative. A, B, C, D, or F, let me know. And before we hop on out of here, thank you so much to Fume for sponsoring today's video. Scan the QR code on your screen right now. Use the code CHATSPORTS to get your free Fume topper when you order your Journey Pack today.